am Kelly Saward, and today I am joined by David Willis from David Willis Bushcraft. Good morning, David. How are you?
Good morning. It's lovely to be here. It's just a beautiful day. I had a walk through the Marlow Park by the river, and yeah, here I am. It's lovely.
It's lovely, and you've brought some nice things in with you as well.
I've picked up a few spoons that I've been carving, some cherry wood. Actually, that was at the Chiltern Open Air Museum, which is just a beautiful place. So I'm very fortunate to be a craft person in residence. Doesn't that sound good, eh?
It does, and we're going to talk all about that. But first of all, I'm going to share your top tip. So we are melting up here. Not so much so because it's early, but as the day goes on, and you had a nice bandana with you, didn't you?
Yep. So the key thing is when you're feeling rather hot and bothered, and how on earth are you going to cool down, you get your nice big sort of bandana, huge handkerchief, something like that, roll it up a little bit, stick it under the tap, get it nice and cold, squeeze out most of the water and stick it around your neck, and it's gonna be, and then that's just so much cooler.
Well, I'm going to take that away with me. I've got a lot of bandanas at home actually, so I'm going to share those around my household. So thank you for that. But more importantly, we're going to talk about all the wonderful things you do. So first of all, where are you based? Where do you live?
So, I live in the Chalfont, so not actually in Marlow, but not very far away at all. And I mostly operate from a woodland in the Chalfonts, near Chalfont and Latimer Station, a lovely private little woodland, and I work in the woods there. It's a lovely camp that I've set up with a big roof, just in case this, well, liquid sunshine has been more of an issue, hasn't it, of late?
Yeah.
And now we're just protecting ourselves from the sun. And it's really lovely. A beautiful array of ancient trees. It's a semi-ancient woodland. And we have a campfire in the middle, and everything revolves around a campfire. I know it might seem like a campfire when it's a bit hot, but anyway, we have to have a brew, don't we? And have the kettle sitting on there, and we cook lunch and whittle spoons, bake bread, go for walks to learn about the trees, see where the badgers live, and things like that.
That sounds absolutely lovely. So have you always been in the Chalfonts? Are you born in this area, or were you...
Mostly. I was born in West London, lived, sort of pretty much around this sort of area. Moved away for a bit. I was in the army, so I was all over the place for that. But mostly around Chalfonts. Did have a spell up in Bedfordshire for a while, but now home is very much in the Chilterns. It's nice here.
Yes, lovely. And is the base set up in the woods all year round? Is that permanently your sort of base, your structure? Does it stay there?
It's there most of the time. It depends on local circumstances, but basically it's a private, so it stays up. I have everything there, so everyone was always worried where they're going to go for the loo, and you say yes, there's a tree, but there's also a nice big composting loo and things like that, so all the right facilities there, and drinking water and things like that, and there's somewhere they can park their cars by the side of a field, so everything there that makes it cozy and nice, and if the weather turns a little bit silly, we're fine to go anyway, so that's nice.
Oh, well, it sounds wonderful. And how long have you been doing the bushcrafting?
So I think the first bits of stuff I learnt about would have been 25 years ago, but as a kid I used to play in the woods at the end of my garden, and then about 15 years ago I did a year-long program of bushcraft leadership. So that's basically learning how to teach various bits of bushcraft, whether it's looking after the woods, lots of craft from carving spoons, making bows and arrows, teaching styles and how to, lots of things, really. Learning Latin, a little bit rusty sometimes, but learning Latin so you can actually learn about trees and plants, make a bit about tracking, and how to light a fire, lots of different ways. Beautiful day today, we would be using maybe a magnifying glass or a parabolic mirror to use the power of the sun to light a fire, but other days maybe it's rubbing some sticks together, or maybe just the spark to drop onto something that's fluffy that will set light. So things like that, really. So about 15 years, and I've been teaching full-time as my only job for the last 10.
That's amazing, isn't it? And to do something that you love, which I can tell that you do.
Yeah.
And what a wonderful thing to be outside with nature and just learning more about all these important things that we have access to around us.
That's the thing that I love sharing it. and helping people, sort of, it's the seeing the woods for the trees, but actually learning about the trees, so that it's no longer just a bunch of trees and you suddenly go, oh, so for instance, I've got some stuff here to walk off. In Marlow, in the park, you've got the most amazing plane trees. They're absolutely huge, with the bark that's all sorts of different colours and bits are flaked off, and these great big leaves that are a bit like a maple leaf, so think Canadian flag. Yeah, so those great big ones. And then just outside the library where we are today, we've got the lovely leaves, floral pieces from a lime tree. So there's lots of beautiful trees, but in the park, just go and see those ginormous plane trees. They are absolutely fabulous. So it's nice to share this sort of stuff and just get people outside to notice things. And we all have times when we feel a bit rubbish, and me included, but actually time in the wood and just looking up at the trees and the lovely colours, and as the sun shines through and you see all the different coloured greens. It's just beautiful, and it calms. This really is good for us.
It is. I work and teach mindfulness and meditation, so I'm really passionate about being outside in nature, and just 20 minutes outside, if you're feeling low or depressed or that need to feel connected, just being in those spaces in that environment is just absolutely fundamental to just regulate our nervous systems, isn't it?
Yes. I had a lovely quote from a friend the other day who actually turned around and said, and if you can't spare 20 minutes, you better do an hour.
Yeah, I've heard that before as well, and it's so true, isn't it? Because
but it does, just to calm and to just to slow down and sit by the bottom of a tree or sit in the middle of a park. Actually, maybe not quite this time of day in the middle of the park, but sitting under a tree and just relaxing and just feel the bit of breeze and listen to the birds, life going on and what's happening. And it's just, love doing that. And one of the things, in fact, at the weekend, it was a tiny festival called Yestival up in Lincolnshire, and we're carving butter knives. So people were just sitting around the campfire in the woods. So it was good 5 to 10 degrees cooler, and just with a knife carving a stick, whittling away, and everyone was calm and quiet and relaxed, just sitting there whittling a stick with a knife.
And we all need moments like that in life, don't we?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's, most definitely.
So tell us the sort of workshops and days that you run, and how is it all ages welcome, I'm assuming?
Yes, it is. So I run scheduled courses for adults. So those could be things like campfire bread baking, so a day of baking different types of bread over a campfire and learning how to make the fire as well. Or it could be different types of whittling, of carving, butter knives, spatulas and a spoon. And all the way, and then in the middle of all of these things, we cook lunch. So we have some locally sourced lamb or beef cooked on kebabs, or if someone was vegan or vegetarian, I cater for that too. That's all fine. What other things? And rubbing sticks together to make fire. And then I do family bushcraft. And for the younger ones, it's usually, we build a shelter, so kids think of it as a den.
Yeah.
But I think the key thing with a den is a cool place to be. A shelter is one that it does what it says, it shelters you. So we put some leaves over the top of the sticks, and then we do fire lighting and usually baking some bread together. So it's a lovely family time to do things. And then for older ones, sometimes, you want to bring your teenagers along. They're perhaps not quite so keen to build a leafy den. Sometimes they are, but maybe not, in which case we do some whittling and we do some carving butter knives, make some interesting patterns on sticks and things like that. And all of these things, we do a walk through the woods. So where people park up, there's maybe a 5-10 minute walk down into the woods. It can be longer if we look at more plants and look at what's growing in the hedgerows, learn about the trees. Back in the spring, we've got some lovely wild garlic that I've planted a few years ago. We can look at some of the young trees and the old ones. It's a semi-ancient woodland.
Wow.
So some of the trees there have been there for more than 400 years. Some lovely old hornbeams. And then we go for a wander, and everyone can see the huge number of badger sets in the woods. So it's exploring, it's calming. I mostly do help families. I also work actually with local school, a special needs school, so teenagers with autism, ADHD, and I do a lot of workshops. I've been working with them, but actually for about 5 years.
That's fantastic.
So I like, maybe it's the challenge. I like working with folks that have got special needs. It's always nice to just try to ensure that it's all inclusive and nobody misses it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's really important. So people with all sorts, whether it's cerebral palsy and they find it difficult to do things, work with Headway, the charity that helps people with acquired brain injuries, and people with those sort of groups. It's always finding a way to ensure that it's inclusive. But yeah, that's a sort of general flavour. It's having fun in the woods, being relaxed, enjoying yourself, usually revolving around a campfire and learning a little and having some fun.
That sounds fantastic. Well, up next, I'm going to play one of your tracks. Some of them I didn't have, did I, David? But this next one, You Ain't the Problem.
That's pretty cool.
Is a choice by you. Why did you choose this track?
Oh, I don't know, there's something very emotive about it. David Karanuka, he's got just a lovely beat, seems such a free-spirited person, but it's some quite good little messages in there. So, yeah, listen.
Let's give it a listen. Joined today by David Willis here from his wonderful Bushcraft business, and we've been talking about that this morning if you've just tuned in. So we're going to continue to talk about all the wonderful work that David does here on Marlow FM. We've still got half an hour left of the conversation and lots more to learn. He's brought some beautiful leaves in from local trees and also some wooden spoons that I believe you've carved yourself. Is that correct?
Yeah, so one of the courses I run is wood carving. That's carving from greenwood, so greenwood being freshly cut wood. And that's nice to do because it's a lot softer. So some woods lend themselves to being carved, and things like a fruit wood, things like a cherry, which looks beautiful, but if it dries out becomes like rock. So not as much fun. But if you cut a nice piece of fresh wood, obviously if you've got permission and all that sort of thing, it's just lovely. So yeah, I've got a few of them over here. I shall slide, this is going to be loud. There you go.
I've got one
slid a wooden spoon across the desk. I was told not to make a noise, but anyway, here you go. So this is what you've got in front of you. It's a piece of cherry wood, and it was just carved out with a bit of an axe and a spoon and a hook knife. And it was really fun, actually. At I mentioned earlier, Open Air Museum. It's a lovely venue for, especially families, but just for people that are curious about buildings around the Chilterns. And occasionally I give some away to kids that are curious. So I love doing that. So you sit there just carving a spoon, and if there's a youngster that just goes, just wants to look at it a bit more, and I finish it off and give it out to them. So it's kind of a nice thing to do, really.
It's lovely.
Really simple. Very tactile. That's the whole point. It's a piece, and there's a story attached. When you've... So when people come out to the woods with me, maybe a small scheduled course or a little group of people, with maybe sort of 4 people, something like that, so really small, and we cut some wood from the woods, and then we make something. And so you've got a whole story there. Not only have you just sat there by a campfire, having a tea or a coffee and whittling something, you've then got a story to tell friends and just go and talk about things, the fact that you cut that piece of wood, you've carved it, you know about the woods a little bit. Maybe you heard a bird flutter around. There's a Jenny wren that was nesting right next to our camp that you could see. Not now, they're fledged, but and things like that. So it's really nice. And then I said, I've got the lovely leaves here from Marlow Park, which are beautiful. Those trees, the plane trees, they're called great plane trees for a reason. They really are great.
Yeah.
And they're just absolutely huge. I should think it must take about maybe 6 people. If they held hands, they've just about managed to get round one. They were absolutely enormous trees. It's really lovely.
I know, and these spoons, I wish that people could see. But you've got images of these on your social media, haven't you?
Yeah, my social media stuff will be Willis Bushcraft, all one word. So WILLIS Bushcraft. So if you have a hunt around there,
So Facebook,
there'll be
Instagram.
no shortage of photos of campfires interesting things cooked on the campfire, whether that's chicken of the woods. Some people have heard chicken of the woods is a fungus that grows in our wood. It grows on cherry trees.
Wow.
And you can slice a piece off. It's got the texture of chicken, but obviously it's not. It's fungus. I usually fry that up and a little bit of some oil or something like that, maybe with a bit of garlic.
God, that sounds amazing. So does that become part of your events?
It depends what day the event is.
Yeah, I suppose.
So I don't actually run foraging events as such, but where nearly everything involves eating. So therefore, if it's available, we do. So sometimes there may be some hedge garlic or jack by the hedge, which is different from wild garlic, and it grows in a hedgerow. What other things? Oh, early spring when the lime leaves pop and they've just coming out and they're super soft and they're rather nice to munch, a bit like a salad. Or even beech leaves in the first week, and they're very, very soft, slightly hairy around the edges, and they've got a little bit of a nutty flavour to them.
But they're perfectly edible. And when is the first week? When would you catch them?
That's a really hard one. You've just got to go. You just need to do a walk each week, and then go. Oh, what the bud? It's now in bud, and then you go. The buds are starting to sort of almost ready to pop, and then they pop, and that's when you have them. You can't. There is no. I mean, these are in the spring.
Yeah.
So they'll be generally late March, early April, but they can vary hugely. This year, with the differences in temperature, the ash trees were more than a month late in having leaves. So there's an old wives' tale rhyme of if it's the oak before the ash, so this is the oak leaves coming out before the ash leaves, so the oak before the ash, you're in for a splash. And if you have the ash before the oak, you're in for a soak. So it's just to give you a rough idea of what might come with the weather. So this year, the ash, because basically they usually come out, the oak and the ash, much the same time.
Yeah.
This year, certainly in the Chilterns, the ash was more than a month late.
Right.
It's huge. So many people are thinking their trees are dead, and it turns out they weren't. They're just hanging in there for a bit. The weather's been all over the place. And so that's the key thing. If you're interested in foraging things, looking for things in the hedgerow, it can easily be a month different when the weather changes. So it's just something to be aware of. And even if you go blackberry picking, you could be picking them early, you could be picking them late. For those that love being on the river at Marlow, you go for a paddle from there and you'll find blackberries down the side of the river. But the best bit of paddling, you get to have all those lovely blackberries that the people on the path can't reach.
That's a good point, isn't it?
Reminds me to get my canoe out. But not yet.
No. But there's so much out there, isn't there? And that's what I love about this show. So it's, connecting with nature to nurture ourselves and all the different things that you're bringing into people's lives, to make them more aware of their surroundings and just the pleasure. I mean, just coming back to this spoon for a moment, just looking at this here, what you've managed to create there, for someone to come away with, it's really special, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's just... Yeah, it's a nice thing. That one's actually had a little bit of linseed oil in it as well. It helps to bring the lovely sort of, I don't know what we call it, auburn ready colours out in the cherry wood spoon, and different sizes. And sometimes, I've got ones here. There's dinky ones, tiny ones that are more like a teaspoon. There's one that you could probably eat your breakfast with. There's a big serving spoon. Oh, and then, here you go. I've got a small cup as well. So just think of it like a large bowl of a spoon.
Yeah.
But a lot bigger. And that one's actually been used in some local tourism networking, actually. We went to a distillery. I may have had a gin and tonic in this one. And also somewhere else where, a while ago, went to a brewery, I think it was and so it's a great one for making sure you don't drink too much, because it's very small.
Yeah, it's lovely though. It's wonderful. So check those out. Remind us of how people can find you, David, while we're on that subject.
Ways to find me. So my website is davidwillis.info, info, and my social media tag is Willis Bushcraft. And to be honest, if you're just curious, just type in David Willis Bushcraft into Google or Bing or whatever it is you use. And my website will pop up. I'm easy to find. So just bung something into Google. Or if you want to go, how to bake bread on a campfire or something like that, you see. all these little bits will pop up. So just chuck my name in, David Willis, Bushcraft, you'll find me. And ask me any questions, even if you're not necessarily planning to want to go on a course or an event, you're just curious about something to do with nature and just wonder, just ask.
Yeah, because it's just finding that connect. It's not necessarily, like you said right at the beginning when we were off air, it's not bushcraft for survival, is it? It's to, you're going to learn skills, but it's to get in touch with yourself, with your surroundings, and just find pleasure in these wonderful natural things that are available to us.
That's very much what it's. I mean, all the skills that people learn would all be useful in a survival situation.
Yeah.
But survival is kind of get me out of here, whereas bushcraft is I want to stay. You know, it's a different thing. You know, if you're doing survival, you're probably not sitting there going, "Oh, let's bake a loaf of bread or carve a spoon."
No.
You know? It's not quite the same. But many of the, you're outdoors, you're learning things, and these are skills that lots of people have kind of just left behind. And I particularly like working with a special needs school. Actually, it's a plug for them, Stony Dean, over in Little Chalfont. It's a special needs school for speech language. They're all teens, so it's secondary level. And just working with them, and I work with their autistic group, ADHD students. And it isn't just the connection bit on the trees and life in the woods and making a campfire, but also cooking. So much in the way of people are just in a hurry and putting things together quickly.
Yeah.
But, I think the other week we just did some kebabs, and we had some, what do we have? We had some paneer cheese with some shredded lettuce, and we toasted some tortillas in the embers. And a few speckled bits of chili over the top, this sort of thing. And we've cooked fish in the past, or everything's fresh ingredients, and we just cook them over the campfire. And I remember the first time we cooked the tortillas in the embers, they were a bit nervous about that. Weren't too sure. I thought we were just going to end up with burnt crisps, but they just bubbled away gently, and
tasty.
Now it's a no-brainer. It's just like, shall we toast them on the fire? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's an absolute certainty. So it's
So many things available. So to check you out, but we'll be back again shortly, because you have been on Marlow FM before, which we're going to talk about after the next track.
Oh, cool. Look forward to that.
This is another choice of yours. So we're going over to the Scissor Sisters now. Any reason for this one, David?
Well, I've never actually seen them live. They're just an amazing band that just seem to be so full of energy and party. And sometimes when it's my turn for cooking, at home I take my turn, I may be known to sort of dance around the kitchen whilst I do dinner, and it'll be the Scissor Sisters that will be on. Right, so we can all imagine you dancing around the kitchen for this next track. That's probably not a good thing to think about. But anyway, it's fun. It's lively and exciting, and yeah.
We need to have more fun, so let's listen to this track. Yes, and if you've just tuned in, David is a wonderful man who lives in the Chalfonts. He's local, and he runs all things bushcraft. You can find him on Google. He teaches bushcraft, outdoor living skills, natural history, woodland crafts, campfire cooking, so many things. So do check that out. But next up, you can go back and get the replay of that bit. But we're going to talk about David's time on Marlow FM before, aren't we?
Yes, with the lovely Mary. Oh, we've had a few interesting and good fun laughs and conversations, and we've known each other for a very long time. And I can remember it's quite a while ago now, but one week she just gave me a call and said, "David, I'm going to be on a TV, and it's come dine with me, and I really want to have a big spoon to sort of stir her stew around." And cause she'd been across and she'd done some spoon carving with me, so she and her husband had been over, and they'd sat around the campfire and we'd whittle spoons and stuff. She thought, could we do that together? So the film crew were there at her place, and I sort of rock up with a lump of cherry wood and an axe over my shoulder, and we had a little bit of fun carving a great big spoon, even bigger than the things you've got here. Yeah.
It sounds like a lot of fun, and Mary's lovely, isn't she?
Oh,
so Mary does her show here, so she's already had the pleasure of spending lots of time with you and talking about all the wonder you do.
She's a riot. She's a lovely, lovely lady. It's really cool.
And you had the same issue with finding some of your choice of songs then as well, I hear, because I couldn't find all your music today.
Yeah, I know. Well, if you ask, the thing is, you're just going to come out with stuff I like. So, yeah, the lovely Vanessa Ferrero. So, anyone who's kind of curious, what is this awesome lady who lives in the Colombian jungle, was brought up in Bradford, was on the telly with Ben Fogle quite recently, and was brought up by her mother in Bradford. Her mother had been brought up by the monkeys in the jungle of Colombia. So back in the 50s and 60s, it was pretty grim with the abductions of children in that part of the world, and somehow she ended up being in a jungle alone with the monkeys. It's legit. There's a whole book about it. Anyway, this fabulous lady, Vanessa Ferrero, was just, she came to the UK and did these little gigs all over the place. So I just listened to her music. It's just lovely. So, yeah, go and check it out somewhere else.
And I will speak to Mary and some of the other wonderful, more experienced presenters than me that have been here longer and see how we can get those onto our library of music.
Yeah, that'd be lovely. That'd be cool. That'd be
so
really
I'm
nice.
sure you'll be invited back again. So by next time, hopefully we will have a better range of
I'll go and find another one you haven't got.
But a couple of questions I wanted to ask you, David, about the things that you do as we've been talking is, firstly, I know you said food is involved in a lot of what you do.
Yeah.
Do you have your own unique bread recipe?
Is it really my unique? No, it's probably not really unique. It's just sort of... I mean, I've got a web page which is how to bake bread on a campfire. So if you were to type how to bake bread on a campfire into Google, it should come up on the first page somewhere and you'll find it. But it's have good quality, strong bread flour. Most of the time I'm using active yeast, so I make it up because I'm in the woods, so carrying fresh yeast isn't so easy. And I usually put a little bit of sugar in along with some salt. And just to get the initial loveliness going and knead it, and then it sits in a Dutch oven, a cast iron pot near the fire, although at this time of the year probably not.
No.
Just to let it prove, and then bake it in a really, really hot cast iron pot in the middle of the fire. And then other times though there's pictures there on the Instagram page of all sorts, so sweet chestnut bread and olive bread and lots of herbs. If you could put herbs in a bread, everyone laughs when I do it. Put herbs in, we don't want to taste the bread and go, oh, I don't know, is there herbs in there? You want to know it's a herby bread, so you just put the ingredients, make sure they're really in there. So I've done quite a lot. So the key thing is just it's good fun. Lovely to bake bread over a campfire, but even if you just make some fresh bread, and it's nice, if you've got a bread maker, that's kind of okay, but you're not kind of putting the love in quite so much. So, and I should put out one of my bread, I'm just going to blab on for a moment, is that actually I went with a Sikh charity up in London feeding the homeless. And so, they were feeding the homeless, and I went along and took a whole load of loaves of bread that I baked, and we were on the streets, and that was really special. So sometimes we get excited about chatting and stuff, and it almost feels like the ego is being let out. And then you end up feeding the homeless, and that levels everything and puts things in perspective. And it just makes you realise we need to think about other people. And that's a really wonderful message.
And I think it comes back to that place of love. And when you're doing things from the heart and connecting with that space, it just makes the way forward feel more free-flowing.
It does, most definitely. I love that. That sounds nice, yeah.
And do you have a favourite element of what you do? There must be something that you enjoy more than others, would you say, or...?
Gosh, it's tricky. Not especially. I mean, it's lovely to bake bread, but actually, so at the weekend, this little festival, we were all baking bread on a campfire, and it was on a stick. So stick bread done with yeasted dough. And I think we did some chili once, sort of like a chili and tomato and herbs and cheese, and that was nice. But whittling, I brought these spoons in. That's really good therapy. So from a personal point of view, probably a bit of wood carving is really good. I like that. And then sometimes just chilling out in a hammock and gazing up at the trees. And my favourite place, sometimes they all went, what's the best place for sleeping out? And actually in a hammock. And for anybody who's ever suffered with back problems, hammocks are definitely the answer. They are brilliant. They really are good.
I've got one in my garden, actually, a freestyle. It's on a stand, but it's just such a lovely, and you just the motion of just sort of the movement.
So what you have to do is when you come over,
yes,
we'll set up a hammock in the woods, and then you can just see the difference.
I will, and I'm definitely going to come over. I'm excited about that. I'm really looking forward. I love being outside and sort of, just feeling that connection. And when you're feeling really off-centre, there is nothing better than just getting out of the car, free with your own feet, and just being, no expectation, just being with where you are and just enjoying just the beauty around us, because we miss it.
I think so. And if you can find somewhere, slip your shoes and socks off and just wriggle your toes in the grass or the leaves. It might be a bit prickly, but so what? It's just, it does make a difference. It's that sort of grounding yourself and feeling things, and that sort of, wriggle your toes in the grass. Maybe that's something everybody should do. I mean, all the listeners today, if you could just go and find a bit, where's that bit of grass that's not far away, just after we finish this bit. Only for a moment, of course, you're going to have to come back to listen to more. but just get outside when you're going to put the kettle on, wriggle your toes in the grass, and then come back in to listen to some more. Yeah,
the nurture of nature, you see.
Yeah, what a good title for a radio show.
Mary helped me with that, actually, so we'll thank her. But yes, it's been so wonderful speaking to you. We're going to play one of your other tracks, and then we'll come back for a few minutes because this hour has just whizzed by, hasn't it?
Wow, it's gone.
I know, we've only got 8 minutes left. And then after the news, I'm joined by the lovely Emily Coby, who is the founder of the Oshala Festival. So she's running a lovely festival in Penmeadow Farms. It was near Threath before, but there's loads of yoga, meditation, chanting, singing, dancing.
Wow.
So many wonderful, lovely things.
So lots of opportunities for wriggling toes in the grass at that.
Lots. I think many people will spend that whole time without shoes at all.
Sounds good.
Which is wonderful. So we're going to be talking to her after the news. And also on this show, I do a little mindful moment just after 11 where we stop and take a breath. So, David, you may stick around or you might want to get some air. But we're going to come back. We're going to play your final track, which we found, which was Mayhem.
Yeah, Imelda May.
Yes.
Brilliant.
And there was a whole range, wasn't there? But we went with this one.
Yeah, no, that Mayhem. Yeah, it's good.
So we're going to bring a bit of mayhem to the studio, and then we'll be back to say goodbye.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
You are listening to Kelly Saward on Marlow FM 97.5.
You are indeed, and we're just wrapping up with the lovely David Willis, all things bushcraft. We've had a wonderful conversation this morning. Thank you, David, so much for coming in and talking with me.
Thank you very much, Kelly. It's been lovely. Yes, I don't know what, time zoomed by.
I know it has, but if you want to find out any more about David, and I'm sure he will be back on the radio in the future, it's been a pleasure, and it's not his first time, but just pop into Google David Willis Bushcraft and everything will come up.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Or so Instagram, it's Willis Bushcraft, and you just pictures, thoughts, maybe a few things to inspire, and a couple of Brilliant. Get out there, wriggle your toes in the grass.
Yeah, so that's everyone's task for today. We're going to have a mindful moment after the news, but also get your bare feet on the ground.